everyone, welcome back to the Book and Life podcast. Today we're going to have a brand new book guest on. Whether they're an author, an editor, a producer, you'll never quite know, so you're in for one hell of a ride. But today I just have to do the adverts and then I'll get us straight into that most important conversation. And as we do every week, I'm going to read The Shadow, which is part of the Time Guardian series, and this is book 4 from Marianne Curley. The battle is over, the war is won. The prophecy complete, but life can't just pick up where it left off for Ethan, struggling to cope with tragic loss. At odds with friends in the guard, he finds himself adrift, jumping at shadows and sensing someone who can't possibly be there. Blaming herself for the goddess Athena's death, Giselle swears revenge, to vilify the immortals' plan for world domination. But Giselle hadn't planned on love, and that leaves her with an unbearable choice. Should she follow her heart, or the strings of a goddess short on praise but high on expectation, who continues to pull her from the grave? As the guard and the order battle through the past and into an impossible future, darkness lurks round every corner. The fight for the world's survival rests with just one. Is it friend or foe who stands in the shadow? And just a reminder that The Price of Freedom by Rosemary Rowan, is being donated to the Ukraine refugee crisis. And here's the blurb for her book. It's one of her Roman British crime series, which was written under her maiden name. All editions can be found online where all books are sold, even her agents donating her commission. Sorry, I don't have the blurb for that, but that's what she's doing. And now, without further ado, let's get you to the guests. And we're welcoming back one of my favorite childhood authors. I was so honored she was my first guest. I am so delighted she's coming back. I've been super excited to have her on. So without further ado, the one, the only, the utterly beautiful and amazing Marianne Curley.
Hi, Crystal. So good to be asked back again. Can't believe a year's gone already. It's been amazing.
I know. It's been so fast. This entire whole thing was just... I'm still kind of trying to recover from how quick it's gone by. I don't know if it's because I was third year uni when we did this. I was just going into third year of university. I don't know if that's maybe why it's gone so fast, but because I remember the night I recorded with you was the night WrestleMania was on for wrestling fans.
I think I do remember that.
Yeah, and I was sitting up, I had my pajama bottoms on and I had this wrestling t-shirt on to get me through the show. So
right.
yeah,
it was one of the first ones you'd done.
I think you do.
Yeah. Well, I've been busy too, and I got the rights back for my Avena series, which is Hidden, Broken, and Fearless. And I'm in the process of reworking them. I've got the first book up and running on Amazon just yesterday, day before yesterday. And similar covers, because they've given me the covers as well, and which I appreciate. Thank you, Bloomsbury. That was wonderful. And but I've just altered them a little bit and put a new reverse cover on there. So very keen to have the 3 books out, because when they first went out 10 years ago, they didn't get the advertising or that they deserved, or that I kind of was told they would. So, they kind of got shut down very quickly. Yeah. So this is their chance now to get out there with my readers who didn't get a chance to read them then. And I'm actually, like I said, I've reworked them because I think the couple of glitches they might have had, I know I've learned more, about the topics. And
of course,
books. So there's new chapters in there, which is going to be delightful for anyone who's read them before. But I think overall, all the new readers that have come to read the other books of mine, The Guardians of Time and Old Magic, they can now move on to this series.
Yeah.
But I haven't just stopped with this series, reworking it. I've actually written 3 new manuscripts, 3 new books. It
Wow.
wasn't. I had them in draft form when I was speaking to you last, but they are now finished and they are with my agent, and she's out there looking for publishers for them. But within the next 12 months, if we don't get picked up, I will put them out there on Amazon and other bookshops who will
Well, I
pick them
can't
up.
wait
And,
to see these because
yeah, well,
everything that I've read of yours is so detailed and it's so easy to read. You just get sucked so into it. That's why I loved yours, because especially when I started off dyslexia reader, I swear I have ADHD because I get so distracted so easily. I got tested and apparently I don't have it, but I can't stay on one topic for longer than 2 seconds.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because I work with different people, and so many people say to me, "Oh my gosh, Crystal, how much coffee have you had today?" And I have to go, 2?
Oh,
And they're like,
yeah.
"Yeah, but what size is the cup?" And then I like hold up my really big cup, and then they're like,
Oh,
"Ah, now we understand why you jump around so much, Crystal." So
it's
yeah,
just in your
I'm
nature by the
adapting.
sounds of things. Sounds like it's in your nature.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't have it, but I think everybody, to a degree, has got it these days. There's so much to distract you. I mean,
yes, there is.
my
Yeah,
phone is buzzing and beeping and ringing all the time, and I really can't. Once you're in that 17-year-old's head, and
yes,
you want to stay in it, and you want to stay in it, but then the
yep,
phone buzzes, and someone rings or someone walks in, or you get a message, and you're out,
yep.
and
You're
it
out.
takes a
Yep.
bit to get back in there. Yeah. So I remember
Yeah, you
reading
totally
about.
understand it. You understand where I'm coming from.
Definitely. I think
Because
it's not. I think you'll find a lot of people, a lot of writers. There's some writers who will, and this is what I need to do. They'll go into their office. They'll shut the door. They will leave
yep,
their phones outside, and they
I need
will
to
have
start
another
doing
cup of
that. Yeah,
coffee. That's all they have in there, and it's definitely what I need to do. I
because
definitely maybe then I could get
we
that
had
book a month
JJ
done.
on. I might get that book a month done. Yeah, exactly. So for listeners who have not been up to date with the podcast, I stupidly signed a contract, which I'm super proud of, but I'm super scared of at the same time, to release one novel a month for the next 3 years. And everybody I've spoken to thinks I'm absolutely insane, especially since I got no advance.
That's a
Uh,
lot of pressure.
so it is. It's almost to the same level as what Mills and Boone expect from their authors.
That's
It's
even
almost as
even
bad for
so. That's
them.
yeah. Because what's that? 55,000 words. Um.
Yeah, 55 to
Yeah.
75 per novel,
Yeah.
depending what obviously it is.
Mm.
But here was the thing, like I had a backlog. One series is 34 books long. Me and Joe planned it out. It was 34 books long. And I think some of them were like over 130, 140,000 words already there. So it was
Whoa.
just a case of going in and splitting them, splitting them in half and then being like, okay, that works. And then, making it has made the series longer, but it's
Mm-hmm.
made it more doable because then I'm not like thinking, crap, I need to come up with like, the rest of the story quicker
Yeah.
now because obviously the situation's
As long as
changed.
the stories are already
Um,
there, you're
and
right. You've got a head start, haven't you?
yeah, and the thing about Marie's world was she was so easy to plan because she came from my own dance experience, my own time in drama
Okay.
club and creating the characters from there. So she's like this huge skin that I have on me anyway. And then Joe kind of comes in and he plays the dad. He kind of treats me like his daughter in a way. It's kind of this
Okay.
weird relationship we
Right.
have.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll literally say to me, he's like, Crystal, we're leaving the dance thing now. And we're going into the next, like, because I get so hung up on how dancers see things and our codes
Oh, and
and
I thought
our
it was
words and our
wrestlers that you were hung
shorthand.
up on.
Yeah, and he's a wrestler, so he's like Carney, and he has his own set of rules, his own set of perspectives, and we clash, and it's hilarious if you ever get to listen to us talking. Because we just did our podcast that me and him did came out 2 weeks ago. I'll email you the link. And we were just talking about the contract because he's part of this contract with me, and we end up talking about everything but the contract because that's just how the two of us end up working together. We talk about everything but what we're supposed to be working on, which is phenomenal.
That's a big distraction then, isn't it?
He is huge, but I've now got somebody else that I'm working with, and he makes me super focused. He is the first writing person I've ever worked with, and he's as detailed orientated as me, and he's Mensa level intelligent. I'm nowhere even close to him, but he does. He really makes me up my game. I can't have a lazy day with him because he calls me on it. He's like, "You're being lazy today," or whatever. But
really?
yeah, so I'm getting an education in working with different people.
So you're used to working with people, whereas here I am working on my own, which is what I prefer. The only other person I like to work with, or I shouldn't say person, is my dog. I've had 3 dogs over my career, 24 years. And the first one used to sit right next to me on the chair next to me. And then I got another dog and they played together. And then when they both passed away eventually, I got a new dog and she just sits at the door, the glass door, looking out the window and the doors. She's full-on protector. But they're company when you don't want company, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I have my husband here too, but he doesn't come in unless I want a cup of coffee. In fact, he comes in a bit too often.
Mine's is the same. Like, he'll come in, and he's terrible for this because he earwigs on my conversations. So he comes in and he sits down, and I go, "Hi, honey," just so that like the person I'm working with knows he's there, just in case something gets said that could be misconstrued.
But he's there if you need him, then, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. He's so protective. He's wonderful. And then I have these 2 cats, these 2 absolute lunatics. One, he's like the protector. He's attacked my postman I don't know how many times. I have had to pull him off the postman so many times. I'm like, dude, just don't come near the front door. Just open the front door, throw it in, and then run. Okay, just don't open the door. So yeah, I have one. He's super protective. He thinks he's a dog. He plays fetch and everything. And then the other one is just, he's crazy. He doesn't know how to brake. So he runs into glass windows. He runs into doors. He runs into walls. I thought he was blind, so I had him tested. He's not, so I don't know what's going on with him. And he gave my dad a small heart attack when we stayed at his because he actually got on the roof of the house. He'd managed to climb out a window. And he was running around on the roof.
We're very sort of up here on the mountain. We're in the rainforest, and we try not to let any cats out because they go for the wildlife. And
same,
So most people have got cats. They've got these fenced-in sort of aviaries almost. Like you think you put a bird in there, but they have their cats in there. And but I don't.
I'm going to have to do that with mine.
I had one when I was a child, but if you have one of those, they can't get out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, because I have one, and he loves going outside, but he'll only go outside if he's with one of us. Like he'll only go outside if he's with one of us. And the other one, he's just petrified of the outdoors entirely, so he won't go out.
Really? Oh, gee.
Yeah, he's just like, nope, no, thank you. I'll just sit here. And he'll sit at the door and he'll stare at us and he'll cry and he'll do this whole thing, but he won't come outside the door. Ian carried him out into the garden and he had honestly, he hid under a rose bush. He would not come out of this rose bush. He'd just lay there. And
Oh
I'm
gosh.
like, okay, so we've got one that likes to go walk about, and the other one's just like, no, no
And they
thanks.
don't
I'll stay in the house where I know the food is, you know.
yeah, right. Oh,
So
gee, they don't learn off each other.
no, they don't. And the weird thing is, we got Bob. He was 3 years old, and we got Stefano, and Stefano was 3 months when we got him.
Okay.
And the first, of course, I got one of those, those pet things, pet gates, so that you can keep them in separate rooms till they get used to each other. Well,
Okay.
that didn't
Mm.
work
Oh,
because
really?
Stefano was so skinny he could run between the bars. So
Ah,
I opened the bedroom door to go in to check on him, and he ran through the bar out into the hall down to the front door where Bob was sitting and was thinking, oh, must be my new mommy or whatever.
oh,
And Bob
for
treated his
goodness
head like a
sakes.
basketball. He just sort of bounced his head off the floor repeatedly. And
Oh
I
my
thought, oh my
goodness.
god, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him. And
Oh
this was
gosh.
Bob saying, hey, this is my house, my rules, you'll do as you're told.
They
It's
do
never
that.
worked out for Bob.
Sounds
No,
like you
it's
got a
never
few
worked out for him.
stories there for the younger age group. Ever thought of writing them
Yeah, I do.
about the
I
cats
really
and
do. Yeah.
yeah?
And then they fight like when I was me and my husband, we were moving to Shetland for a while, and I went up and
Okay.
I was staying at my parents' house, and my cats would not sleep unless they were in the same room as me.
Ah,
So I had
okay.
to get used to going to sleep at 11 o'clock
Anxious,
at night with the little
anxious
baby
cat.
kitten nose to nose with me. He had to be nose to nose with me,
You're
and the other one
joking.
had to be behind my legs. So I couldn't move. And then as soon as 6 a.m. hit, just like a second before my alarm would go off, they would jump up and they would wake me up. And
They're
but
like
they
an
would
alarm
sleep all
clock.
night next to me. And then Ian came and they couldn't
Interesting.
sleep in the room with him. They couldn't settle
Oh,
with him there. So they got kicked out into the hall
might have
every
been the
night.
best
And all
idea.
I would hear is Stefano trying to kill the motion sensor light because he couldn't understand why the light kept coming on. So he
Oh, and
would
that
he
would
would
be
he would
annoying.
set the light off, and then he would kind of try and crawl towards it to jump it, and then the light would go out, and then he would activate it, and he would jump, and he would run away, and then he
Oh,
and this keyed on all night, so we could see little flashes of light coming through the bedroom door.
yes, that would be annoying too. My dog sleeps through. She's a good sleeper. I mean, she's getting a little
Yeah,
older now, but she sleeps very well. She sleeps through till about 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and then she needs to go and do her business. And she wakes me up then because we can't have a doggy door because we're a bit worried
yeah,
about what might creep in,
yes,
like the possums
exactly,
and the
yeah.
bandicoots around here
Hmm.
and snakes occasionally too. So we have to. One of us has to get up and let her out, and then by the time 6 o'clock comes around, I'm thinking I'm not going back to sleep now. And I am a
Yeah,
morning person. I would rather be up at 6 than sort of fall back asleep and wake up a real groggy headache in the morning at 7
oh,
or
I know
8. So
that, yeah.
yeah, so I would
Because
prefer to be up and at it by then. Yeah,
I
but
never realized this. I was diagnosed at 16 with seasonal affective disorder, which basically
okay, that
means I get like super melancholy during the winter, and
oh
all I want to do is sleep. Like it's like this
oh
weird thing. All I want to do is sleep. And then summer comes, and as soon as soon as the sun even starts to break up through the ground, that's me. I'm awake,
well
and
yeah
and
yeah
it drives me insane, you know.
too
And
early.
no matter what I've tried, I
Yeah,
can't seem to get it to balance itself. It's awful.
well the kookaburras wake us up in summer. Well, they wake me up because my
Yeah,
husband's hard of hearing, so he doesn't hear them. But yeah, they will wake up just at the crack of dawn. It's so true, that expression, the
yeah,
crack of dawn. The kookaburras are barking, you could say, because they really have this big bark. And the thing with kookaburras are you'll
yeah,
see them lined up on the wires around the place, the telephone wires and the electric
yeah,
wires that are still up in the air. And there'll be not one of them, there'll be like four of them in a row. And so they're all going at,
yeah.
and you cannot not hear that. So at 4 in the morning in
Yes.
summer, that's a bit too early, even for me. But I do get my best
I know
work done
that
in the
feeling,
morning.
yeah.
And
Well,
I've been
Shetland,
working hard.
it's
Well,
so
I'm
weird
only
growing up
doing
there
manuscript,
because,
so.
well, yeah,
Have you
that's
ever been to
helpful. But
Australia?
I have not. I have friends that have emigrated, but I've never made it yet. And it's my dream to come out to Australia and do the romance convention in Australia, because
That would be
apparently it
great.
is one hell of a wild 3 days. So I'm like, okay,
It
this
is.
sounds like my cup of tea. I'll come to that. Um,
Yeah,
I might drag some of my friends, my very
yeah,
intelligent friends who are riding with me. But yeah, Australia is my number one place to go. But I'm going
okay.
out to the States apparently this year, or so I'm told.
Yeah,
Everyone keeps telling me I'm coming to the States this year. I'm not believing them until I get my air ticket. Somebody
I
gives
do.
me an air ticket, and then I'll be like, okay, right, I'm coming.
Okay,
Then
that would be a terrific trip.
well, we're going to Los Angeles, so it's a
Nice.
14-hour plane ride from
From where you are,
Glasgow.
from
Yeah,
Glasgow, yeah.
14 hours,
Okay.
which is
I think it's about
it's about the same
21
length
for
of
me.
time. Yeah, it's about the same length of time it takes me to go from Aberdeen at the very top of Scotland to see my parents in Shetland. That's at least an overnight ferry, so I can sleep on that. That one I can cope with.
Oh,
But the
yeah, okay.
14-hour plane ride, there's like a little break in the middle, so it's like a 10-hour flight to Philly, and then we change at Philly, and then we get the flight from Philly to LA, and it's like the 4 hours I don't know what to do with myself.
Right, right.
So I write, or I end up eating crap loads of
Yeah.
pretzels because for whatever
You don't keep,
reason the air
yeah.
hostess keeps coming by and giving me pretzels and I can't say no, so I end up eating like 20 bags of salted
Oh, you're a
pretzels.
pretzel lover. No, I,
I did that last time, yeah, and Ian's like, why
oh,
did you eat 20 bags of pretzels? And
oh
I'm like,
gosh,
eh.
it is
He
a long
slept through
way.
an
I mean,
earthquake last time.
oh, geez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5.5 earthquake and he slept through it. I'm
Oh,
braced in
gee.
the bathroom like, oh, we're gonna die. Oh, we're
Oh,
gonna die. Because the ground's not supposed to move. And I'm like,
mm.
yep, this isn't good. My first night there, and I'm in the bathroom thinking I'm dying. And my husband sleeps through it. Didn't
Wow.
budge, didn't move, didn't even open his eyes. He just sort of continued sleeping. I even threw something at him, and it did nothing. Not a thing.
Goodness me,
So
that's terrible.
yeah. So we're
Yeah,
gonna. I think it's I think my director was saying we're going to be 5 months in LA.
that's a long
So
time.
we're
That's
gonna,
fantastic.
yeah, 5 months.
Yeah.
So
Well, that'll be
that's an
fantastic.
insanely long time.
Well, where are you going to stay? I mean,
I
don't
have
give the
no
address out.
idea.
I mean, just generally,
I don't know.
Mm.
Like I think we're going to be in a hotel, or I think they're either renting us
Oh,
hotels or they're going to put us in like houses you rent,
that's
and
a great
then
idea
I'll
too.
have to drive to and from wherever. But or
Mm.
Ian has to drive me because I don't have a driver's license, so Ian will have to
And don't
drive me
forget, it's
to
other
wherever
side of the
we're
road,
filming.
I think, isn't it? The US to what you used to
Yes,
driving on the other side of the road. Yeah.
it's the other side of the road, and they also have no streetlights in LA, which I found
What?
very confusing.
Well, I would too. I'm like,
Yeah,
I like the light.
I mean, because they have motorways or freeways,
Oh,
and
have they? Yeah,
you'd
from what I've
think they'd
seen.
put lights on them, right?
Mm, yeah, you
Yeah,
would.
and we were
Maybe there's
driving
enough
around,
traffic that
and we
you
couldn't
don't
see
need
the
it.
off lamps. No,
Mm. Still, it's not going to
I
stop you from
just I
going, is
find
it?
it crazy. Yeah.
Mm.
And they live on their
All
horns
right.
too.
Yeah.
Like seriously, they lean on their horns for everything, even indicating. Because the amount of things
Well,
that me and
maybe
Ian saw was
you'll have to do a
scary.
podcast about your experience in LA.
I know I'm gonna. Oh, I was joking actually with the director because he was on this week's podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was
Yeah.
joking away with him, and I got off, and Ian's like, "You should do a live with everybody that's like the director, you, the guy that you're writing with." and the
Right.
head of talent relations, it would be the funniest show ever. And I'm like, but it would go from being like an hour and a half to 2 hour show to being like a
Ah,
6 hour
yes.
show because nobody
Oh,
is going to actually keep it in time. Nobody would stay in their time. So I was
right.
like, yeah, that would be a really long one. But actually, my dream is to do a podcast live at one of the romance conventions and just
Mm,
like whoever wins the award at the convention, they can come on the show for like an episode.
mm-hmm.
We'll do it
Oh,
live in
okay.
front of an
Yeah.
audience or something, you know. But
Mm, sounds like a good idea.
uh,
Do
it's a
you
lot
have to
of
make?
work though.
Oh, I imagine it is. Yeah, I
Yeah,
imagine it
because
is.
then
But it sounds
I
like
have
you're
to
up for it.
book it and everything. Yeah,
No, I'd rather be sitting in my office as I am right now, and sitting behind my desk and working on my books. I've actually got into the bad habit of working on two things at once, but
I'm the
that's how I got my
same.
book.
Yeah,
You're the same, yeah. So that's why I've ended up with the Avena series going on self. Like I'm publishing that now, one after the
yeah.
other, and it won't be too much longer before I have the whole three up there and running, which will be great. And I'll update my website and get some advertising going there, hopefully. And the other three books, which are currently, like I said, I can't sort of release the titles yet because we're still trying
Yeah,
to look for
sell them
publishers.
and
But
secure them. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I'm at that stage where I'm not writing a fresh, uh, starting the manuscript. I've got plans ahead, but I know I've had some requests for a book five of the Guardians of Time. The fourth
Oh,
book,
that's
The
amazing.
Shadow, which
Yeah,
I released only about 4 years ago now. That's
yeah.
done really well, um, and I sort of maybe promised lightly. I mean, if I get time, I will write the fifth book, which I'm looking forward to doing next. And that'll keep me
Yeah.
going for a couple of years or a year at least, I think. It takes me,
I
I
do
mean,
love
there's no way in the
your
world,
time one.
Crystal, that I could do a book in 1 month. Depending on how long, maybe, tw-
Oh,
maybe
I know,
10,000
like
words, but I could not do a book a month. I
I
don't
was
know how you signed
lucky.
up for that.
Yeah, I was lucky because I wrote pretty much from 2008 I started
Yeah.
writing
So you
novels.
have the material ready.
So I've been constantly building like a huge catalog for so long that I think I can like
Hmm.
that's the only reason I agreed because when I actually went back and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I have this and this." I was like, "Oh, this will be fine. This will
Yeah.
be easy." What
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
anticipate was that I'm not staying in one genre. I'm going to be in four genres,
What would they be, the
which would
four genres you?
so I will be in romance, I will be in erotica, I will be in YA, and I'll be in crime.
Ah, seriously. And
Yeah, so
well, that'll be something, won't it, to get all those
yeah,
books
which means
out.
I have a pen name for every genre that I'm in. Uh,
And that's a good idea because you
yeah,
don't want to confuse your readers. Because once you've got a
exactly. Yeah,
reader for, Crystal Fleming here doing erotica
yeah,
or young adult, yeah, you definitely
yeah,
don't want the young
exactly.
adults
Yeah,
then
we don't want
reading
the
your
young adults
erotica book.
reading the erotica. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no,
So
definitely not.
it's going to be Crystal McCarrington for the adult novels. It's going to be Crystal Fleming for the romance novels. It's going to be K.I. Fleming for the crime, and then it's going to be Crystal Marie Fleming for the YA.
Crystal Marie.
Which I'm
Oh,
going to have
well,
to
they're all
remember
very
which
good.
one I'm doing on every appearance so I don't get them
You,
confused.
you need to remember that.
Yes, yes,
Sounds like you
because
need a manager, Crystal.
I know. Well, actually, that's what I said to my husband. I'm like, "You're now my assistant," and he's like, "What?" And
Hmm.
I'm like, "Well, you drive
Yeah,
me
that will
everywhere
help.
anyway." I says, "But I need you to
Yeah,
keep like all of my stuff, like, because I'm going to need him to carry books out the car, and all these things that I need him
yeah,
to do."
yeah. Of course you will.
So he's coming with me on the 24th of this month. I've got an appearance at
Right.
Meadow Park Library in Falkirk in Scotland, and it's my
Well, you may
first
right.
talk to adults in a library setting. So
Oh, that would
there,
be interesting.
yeah, 30 minutes. And the topic of it is discussing how I came up with wrestling erotica,
Oh,
which
goodness
I was
me.
not
I'd like to hear
expecting that
that.
at all. And
It'll attract attention, you see.
yeah, well, I think that's
It'll
why they were
attract an
going with it.
audience.
And then they
Mm.
said I needed to use a person as an example. So
Going to use your husband, aren't you?
I can't because my husband's not a wrestler. So I was like, oh,
Oh.
this is going to be interesting. So
Mm.
I had to dive into my bag of wrestlers that I
Bag of
know,
tricks.
and
Yeah.
I had to think, who can I talk about for 30 minutes that isn't going to mind me sexualizing his character?
Oh, no. And if you're going to release his name or her name, because there are female wrestlers too, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. But I actually went with a guy who I knew
Oh,
really
well, that's all
well.
right.
Um, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I'm sure he doesn't listen to this, so I'm not worried. But so when I was a teenager, he was wrestling full time, and he was over 30. And my best friend in the world at that time, I was dancing with him. I was his dance partner, and he was obsessed with wrestling, obsessed with this character. And my brother was also obsessed with him, which I thought was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I ended up
Yeah,
with this
idolized him.
gigantic, yeah, this gigantic crush as a teenage girl on him.
Right.
And
Okay.
now he's ended up being one of my good friends, and it's so weird, like, because my brother, he pops the whole time. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe you're friends with that guy that we used to watch when we were kids. And he's 24 years older than me, and I just
Mm.
think, how crazy is that? Like, how crazy
Yeah.
is that world, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
he at least knows he's going to be the topic of discussion at the library, and
Right.
I promised
Yeah.
to send him the video because they're recording it too, which was kind of like a last minute thing. They were like, "Can we
Ah,
record your talk?" And
okay.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so I can't just do this by the seat of my pants. I actually have to
No,
prepare
no.
something."
You probably still could
You know,
because you're
because
very
like
good at that.
yeah, which I'm, we're all very good at it, because it's kind of our job. Because last month I went and I taught at a college. I did like a 2-hour talk at the
Oh,
college, and I was so proud of that because I got to kind of introduce
yeah.
these teenagers who knew nothing about what I did, nothing about podcasting or media or writing or novels or anything like that. And I
Goodness, yeah.
basically got to teach them for 2 hours. Yeah, and I'm like, don't do the mistakes I did. Learn,
Well,
you
it's
know.
actually a good way. That's a good thing to do is to
Yeah, and
go
it's
over
good
what
too
your
because
mistakes
it
are.
gets
Well,
your
stop.
name out there too. It gets.
Well, that too, yes. I did a few. I've done quite. Oh, I think about five or so
Yeah,
conferences. The where they dress up and they dress up in their whatever
favorite
their
characters.
yeah, their favorite
Yeah,
characters. Thank you. And yeah,
I think
there's
they
a
call it
lot of
cosplay now. Yeah,
is that what they call it? Okay, because it's been a
yeah,
couple of years
yeah,
since I've done one, but some great authors. I met great authors there actually, some very good
yeah,
authors there. Because we get over here, we will get a few from London or the US. We've
yep.
got some very excellent lists of books that they've got out there, and every one of us out there has someone to help them. My daughter came along and helped
Yeah,
me, and she was my assistant. But some of the big time people, they've got their spouses or their assistants, or so you don't have to worry about that when you go to these things.
yeah,
You
because I
know
was
they
like,
give a
I so freaked out that I was going to be weird about
no,
him
no.
traipsing
You
in
never have to
behind me
be.
carrying
You
boxes or
don't have to
whatever.
be
But
alone. No, you don't have
yeah,
to be
it's
alone at those things.
but
But
no,
you stay in the
I'm
background,
getting used
yeah.
to it now.
Hmm. Yeah, because you've
Well,
done quite a
funny you
few
say
now,
that.
haven't you?
He was on my first ever book tour with me in
Ah, okay.
2014, I think it was.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I was petrified because my publisher at the time was supposed to put me and Joe on the road together, but they forgot
Right.
to put Joe's visa through, which was a problem because he was coming from Germany. And
Right.
so I ended up doing the whole book tour myself, and
Oh,
Ian
what?
drove
On your
me.
own?
And yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And of course, the
yeah, that would
fans
have
were
been hard.
expecting Joe and me, and all they got
Yeah,
was
yeah,
me.
was you.
So yeah, it was a bit
Oh,
awkward in some. But Ian actually had to play security guard at one of them because I had a young teenage girl who grabbed a
oh,
hold of me in like this death hug and wouldn't let go.
wow.
She would just no, she
There
wouldn't
should have
let
been
go.
someone there to help. Goodness.
You
Oh,
know, like the
that's
bookstore
terrible.
manager was staring at me, didn't come over
No,
or
was it?
anything, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
can't breathe, can't breathe. So my husband pulled her off me, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness he's here. You know,
Yeah, no, you definitely have to have
yeah.
someone, or
You
even all
you
the
always
big
need
wigs have
you
to.
always need somebody. I think also to like fill the dead time because you always have times. I call them lulls where nobody's
Yeah, well,
around.
there's always lulls,
You
but
know,
you're sitting near another author or, person
yeah.
who's been invited.
Well,
So,
it's
and
an
usually
author
you get something to
weekend
talk about.
at the yeah,
Hmm?
it's an author weekend at the library, so I'm hoping I'm going to be in good company. But knowing my luck,
Fantastic.
I'm not going to know anybody. So I'm just going to be making idle conversation with whoever's there.
You'll make friends pretty quick, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't struggle for a word here or there, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I blame wrestling for that because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
learned very quickly. Yeah, because when I studied to become a writer, I thought, well, where's the best writers that kind of have to come up with stuff by the seat of their pants with little to no notice? And I thought, well,
Yeah,
wrestling is a prime example of that. So
yeah,
I
right.
started to study from as many different people as I could. And they taught me
Mm.
to be very quick on my feet. I've only recently learned not to dumb myself down because
Ah,
one of the people
yeah,
I'm working
that's
with
something
right
I
now
do
keeps
often.
telling me, stop acting dumb. You don't need to act dumb
No, of
around
course not.
wrestlers or wrestler promoters. So I've just
Okay.
learned that actually, yeah.
Oh,
So
fair enough.
I'm doing that now, which is being more true to myself and less charactery and more like me. But I feel for him though. The guy I'm writing with, I feel so sorry for him. He must want to like reach through the screen and strangle me some days, I swear. But yeah.
That's where the
Well, I
screen is
feel for him because I'm
protective
dyslexic, and
way.
so he has to tell me grammar. Like he's constantly telling me, comma, period, semicolon, just shouting at me, kind of, and I'm like, sorry,
Gee, oh my
to
goodness.
like typing away, like yeah. So the dyslexia really has been interesting since I got my
Okay.
diagnosis. So, but I found out, which since I last saw you, I'm a high functioning dyslexic.
Oh,
I
fair
didn't
enough.
realize that there
Yeah.
was levels to it. I thought it was just you were
Well, there's
dyslexic or
levels
you
to
weren't.
just about everything, isn't there? Like the
Yeah.
ADHD, if I've got that right,
Yeah.
and autism. There's
Yeah.
many levels to autism. Uh, a high
Yeah,
functioning and,
I was
obviously the other thing.
so confused when I got my report in because she said
Hmm.
I have a high functioning
Dyslexia.
brain, but I'm easily distracted and I don't know how to focus.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's what
like,
it's why you need a
yeah, and
closed
then
room.
exactly. It is awful.
Mm.
But when I took the dyslexic test, she had to take into consideration that I was on extremely high painkillers at the time. And that's
Ah,
where they discovered, because I've been on painkillers my entire life, that actually I would have
yeah,
been very high functioning, very young, if I hadn't
right.
had the 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 problems with my health. And I probably wouldn't
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
dyslexia because I would have automatically corrected myself as I did my
right,
schooling. But because I only got
right.
half of my supposed schooling that I was supposed to get because I was half in hospital, half out, then
Oh, yeah,
that's where the
that's right.
dyslexia formed because my brain didn't basically keep
So,
up with everything. Yeah.
so But you were young.
Yeah. I was 2.5 years old when they diagnosed me with idiopathic rheumatoid arthritis.
That's that's pretty sad. That's pretty hard to live with.
Yeah, and that's
So
when they started.
idiopathically, they don't really know how it started or what caused it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, their best guess is I got it from diphtheria. That was their best guess. And I got that from playing in a playground that wasn't clean, essentially.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah.
From a playground that wasn't clean?
Yeah.
In what way? Garbage or something?
Well, there was they don't know if it was the open sewer. There was an open sewer in our play area.
That would be more like. That would be more
and there was also sheep had been coming down from the hills and they had been crapping everywhere. So they don't know if it was the open sewage or if it was the sheep. But there was 4 of us went down ill with it. All of us got diphtheria. I was the first one they diagnosed. And then we all had different severities of it. I was the worst off, but I came out the best because I'm fully mobile, I'm fully functioning, but the other 3 girls weren't as lucky as me.
Really?
Yeah, but I was awful because my arthritis attacks the membranes, the muscles, the linings of muscles, and it's literally been everywhere in my body. It's attacked joints, it's attacked bone, and touching hairy wood, the only thing I've had to have replaced is my jaw joints. So I've been really lucky. I'm 34. By now they thought I'd need both my hands rebuilt, but I actually have managed to survive with my hands the way they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what happened was none of my bones as a child fused, and that's what saved me, because it means my joints and my bones actually they float and they can move between the different parts. So when they get inflamed, then it doesn't damage the bone as much as it should. So I got really lucky. And also I stopped growing at the age of 10. So yeah. So I'm small because they gave me methotrexate from when I was 5 years old till I was 10.
That stunts your growth or something.
Yeah, it stunted my growth and caused me no end of hassle. I was so violently sick with it because I was actually on the same dose as what kids that they give it to the same dosage for the kids with cancer. So I had the same kind of level. So yeah, it was weird. And then from 14 till I was 18, I was back on methotrexate again until they discovered it was attacking my liver. And then I came off it, and yeah, it took me 10 years to get it under control after that. 10 years. But now,
so you are doing well now?
I'm basically what they called a miracle survivor. They didn't think I'd make it, and then I did. You know,
well done for you. Well done to you, Crystal.
Yeah, I call it my warrior pride. You know, it was I was always the kid that would sit at the end of the bed, and the doctors would come in, and I would say, "I'm still here." When they would get to me, that was my opening line. I'd be like, "Still here," and they would be like, "Oh yeah, you are." You know, it's just random. But yeah, my husband, he never realized how bad it was till 3 years ago. I got really sick 3 years ago.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, so now he's got a kind of he loves it when I'm healthy. He sort of celebrates a little bit when I'm healthy now.
Understanding of it.
Yeah.
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 Well, isn't it
it's
amazing
though,
you get
because
your career now too is taken off, and it's wonderful to hear.
I didn't expect it. I mean,
brush with death myself. No, I had a brush with death myself. With the myelofibrosis I had, and then I had my then I had a fall which broke my back, and it just compacted it, and I lost 7 inches, as I remember. I probably would have told you last time we spoke, which is why I'm a bit short too, if you can see it. But And that's
Do you
when
get the
I came
short
back and wrote
jokes?
the Avena series, and that's why it's kind of really special to me. It's the first series, the first book I wrote after my transplant, my
Yeah.
bone marrow transplant, and so then these books that are coming up, which I'll be bringing out, or hopefully a publisher will be bringing out,
Yeah, of
they also
course.
are after the event where I almost died. So looking forward to seeing them out and about,
Yeah.
and
I'm
in my
definitely going to phone
wheelchair.
you
It'd
when
be
I come to
lovely.
Brisbane, that's for sure. I'm
Oh, please
trying to
do.
talk my director into taking us all on a little expedition to Australia.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that'd be great.
yeah, because I was like, I want
There's
to
a
come
lot
over
to
and
see.
see the Aussie readers and stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. It wouldn't
Um,
matter if you came
but
over
no, like,
in the winter. You won't get cold. You won't be too cold. As long as you're coming to Queensland in the winter, say the southern
yeah.
states for summer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
Mm.
I was kind of talking to you before we came on the air about that obviously with the
Yeah,
film and everything's completely
yeah,
changed.
yeah. Actually,
But
filming is really done well here in Australia. I believe we've got a great big studio,
yes,
only actually not far from where I live, just down the mountain, and there you've got the big studio. So
it's funny you say that
but
because
yeah.
they just opened a film studio about, I think it's like 45
Mm.
minutes from me in Scotland, and it's actually where they
Okay.
filmed Outlander, the
Ah,
which
yeah,
is this
right.
like,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
so
I
it's
know.
is
I've read the books and
yeah,
seen
and
about
it's
4 of the
crazy
seasons.
because I live so close to there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
drive by
yeah.
it in the car, and it's like Wood Park, Ward Park it is, sorry, Ward Park Studios, and I'm like, huh. And nobody realizes it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It's like a
Well, that's
weird
probably,
studio
yeah.
lot in the middle of nowhere, and all there is this big, gigantic motorway that runs beside it. That's it.
Right. Oh.
They've got hotels there, and they've made it like a little kind of
They made
village.
a
So there's
town.
like hotels and
Yeah.
restaurants, but it's very
Okay.
kind of condensed, so it's just for that area. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, no, it's insane. It's honestly, I've never seen
Good.
anything like it. And they built it during the pandemic. So while the pandemic was going on,
Oh, I
they actually
see.
built the studio lot, which I thought was crazy.
No,
Cause
but a
yeah,
good job. They obviously didn't want it to be in the middle of a city somewhere. I mean, up here on
yeah,
Tamborine Mountain, they film up here a lot too, because you can go into the forest and you will just, you could be miles from, not that far from civilization, but it looks as if you're in no
the
man's
middle of
land.
nowhere. Yeah, yeah. But
Creeks,
I love Australia for
beautiful,
the
pristine
sunshine.
rivers and waterfalls, anything they need, they're here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My husband's scared to come to Australia because he's scared of the wildlife. He's
Oh,
We're not so good
really?
with spiders,
Oh,
me and him. So he's like,
but spiders.
uh,
I don't have spiders where you
yeah.
live. I mean, doesn't everyone have spiders?
We have house spiders, but none of them are poisonous. And I think he gets a
We
bit
have the
nervous when
funnel-web
they
spider,
could
but
be poisonous. Yeah, so he's like,
and the wolf spider's not a friendly spider either. But you don't invite them
yeah.
in.
My Yeah,
You'll
you
be
don't
all
go out
right.
and pet them is my point. If you leave them alone,
No,
they leave
you
you
don't.
alone. You know?
And the thing with spiders is that and not that I'm an expert, believe me, um, they don't want to be near you. If
Yeah.
you make a noise, they will run the other way.
Yeah.
So let your husband know
Whereas
that,
here in
and he might
Scotland,
give
they're
you
too
something to
inquisitive. They actually want to come and see you. That's the
do.
problem.
You're turning me off visiting Scotland, because
Oh,
I'm not big on spiders either. But crocodiles
I
may be
I didn't I
more
did
more
not
a
think
problem.
I honestly didn't think spiders could be inquisitive until we moved to where we're staying
No,
now. And
goodness.
they get as big as the size of my palm. So they're huge here. But they're
Yeah, wow,
completely
that's good.
harmless. They're completely harmless.
Ah,
The
wow,
only
wow.
problem is
That's
I
creepy.
was in the living room during the winter one week one day, and I'd gotten up like 6 o'clock for some reason, and this big spider was running between the sofas constantly. And it was because he could hear me typing. So he would
Oh,
stop running when I stopped typing, and then he would
oh, you're
start running
joking.
again when I started writing again.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
before I knew it, he was on the sofa with me. And I am so glad the cat was in the room with me because I let out a scream because this thing
Yeah,
was next to me. And my cat
yeah.
just like, he jumped straight on top of it, he cut it in half, and that was it.
Oh,
It was
oh
like,
God.
my cat was so protective of me that day. I was like,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
got extra
right.
treats, he got extra food, he got totally spoiled because he saved me from this god awful curious spider that decided to say
That
hello.
is
And I'm
completely
like,
harmless, didn't you say?
yeah, completely harmless, but it must have just been attracted to the noise of the keys or something because that he crawled
Yes,
up the side of
yes.
the sofa to join me, and I
See,
just thought,
I hate spiders.
oh,
Yeah, that's freaky. That's creepy. But I
yeah,
find it hard to kill them. I'd rather catch them and put them outside rather than kill them.
yeah, and
But they
that's the
do get
thing with
in
my cats
occasionally.
is they kill them and then they eat them, which grosses
He
me out
eats it.
more. Yeah, they eat
Oh my
them.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Now you do have to write books about this.
Yeah, I do.
We've
Yeah,
got a few ideas
because
here for you.
I don't know why on earth they do it, but they play with them for like 10 minutes, and then it's
Oh,
like they go
torture.
to, yeah, and then they go to lick them. It's almost like they're trying to clean their toy, so they go to lick it.
I don't know why they do that. No.
No, they go to
They
lick
might
it,
get
and then
bitten
they
by
end up
doing that.
swallowing it, and then they spend the next 10 minutes looking for it. And I'm like, you just ate it. Like, it's inside your
Seriously.
stomach.
Oh,
Like, oh,
can't
but they're
can't go there.
terrible, my two, honestly.
There was
Except for
a spider.
oof, I hate them. And the other thing that
No,
that
well,
we get really
my
big
sister
here
got bitten by
is,
one actually.
oh, did you?
She was she put a she yeah it was in her kitchen sink, and
Oh,
she went to
right.
put a cup in the sink just to rinse it, and the spider was in there, and it went up her hand and bit her. Yeah, but she went to the
Oh,
doctor because it did get red and awful. And we thought it was might have been a wolf spider or something, but um,
yeah.
I think he gave her antibiotics, but otherwise she was okay. Yeah, I would have
That's
been
good.
screaming all the way to the doctor.
I would have been as well. I would have been in the A&E, like the accident emergency room, sitting there screaming at somebody saying, "Get me in! Get me in! Get me in!" I would be terrible. I actually,
Yeah.
I had a wrestling friend, that I met in England, one weekend. He was telling me about he'd been on a really awful wrestling tour where they had just been non-stop, and he came
Right.
home and he had the flu, and he was
Yeah.
absolutely just
Exhausted.
worn out, and he fell asleep on his
Mm.
sofa, and this I think it was a brown spider or something like that, crawled out of one of the
Mm.
cushions and
Okay.
bit him in the oxter,
Oh,
and he
beating where? Sorry.
in his like under his arm, in his armpit,
Oh.
and he didn't realize it, and then his friend woke him up. His friend came to the house to see him and woke him up, and he had this huge
No.
swelling under his arm, and
Oh.
his friend
Poor
basically
man.
dragged him to the hospital, and they were lucky
Yeah.
they caught it when they did because he was that
Yeah.
ill
Yeah.
anyway. It nearly did him in, but the guy caught the spider that
Mm.
bit him because the spider was still sitting in the sofa next to him.
Oh my God. And at least
And
then they could diagnose
he
the.
must have bit you out of curiosity or something, like,
Yeah, maybe he didn't like him sitting on his couch, laying on
yeah.
his couch.
And I was like, do
The
you not
spider might
like
have claimed
hoover
it.
it or something? Like, because he stays in Virginia, so it's not common to get poisonous spiders in Virginia. So,
Is that right? And it was poisonous.
but yeah, that kind of made me nervous when I went to the States because I was like checking the bed and I was checking wherever I sat down just in
Yeah,
case. I was
yeah,
like, nope.
yeah. You've got to be unlucky to end up with a spider
Oh,
on your bed or your couch, and
yeah.
it can't be something that happens often.
I do
Thank
remember
heavens.
in LA when we first got there, there was a spider in the shower, and I wouldn't go in the bathroom at all. I was like, the first thing I said to Ian was, "There's a spider in the bathroom. You go get rid of it now." Like, I don't care. So he washed it down the drain with the shower, but
Brain. Yeah.
I was just like, nope. I was bursting for the bathroom as well because I managed to go. I managed to fly the entire way to America without going to the bathroom. And then I managed to
Oh,
hold it for another 4 hours till I got to the
oh
hotel
my
because I
God.
hate public bathrooms. I'm terrified of public bathrooms.
Ah,
And
yes, okay.
I don't know why. I just am. And so I was bursting for the bathroom at the hotel, and Ian had to go in and wash the spider away before I could go in it.
Oh, gosh.
The things we
What a
do to
good
ourselves,
man.
though, to be fair,
That's good.
because like I have a fear of going to the bathroom on airplanes because of my bad luck on an airplane. I was flying from
Oh, right,
Shetland
okay.
to Edinburgh, and we hit this bad weather. And I had stood up. They hadn't put any signs or anything up, but I was just about to get up to go to the bathroom, and the plane had an air pocket, and my head hit the top
Oh,
of the plane
oh, yes.
because I'd
Oh,
unclipped
gee.
myself, and I came out the chair into the top of the plane, and I bounced back down, and I don't know what on earth happened after that because I was like totally concussed. But I put my seatbelt back on and
Oh,
decided it wasn't worth going to the bathroom, and
no.
I just apparently
Not under
passed out in
those
the chair.
conditions. No, when that
Yeah,
seatbelt sign is on, you don't want to get up.
yeah, but I mean that was
Yep.
the thing. They hadn't put it on or anything, so I had no
Oh,
clue.
hadn't
I
they?
was just gonna
Oh,
go for a pee and just
that was
concuss
it.
myself, basically.
Normally, you don't have to worry about that. But sometimes, I guess you hit that air pocket, they don't even know it's there, the
Yeah,
pilot.
yeah, and that's what happened. But I like honestly,
Mm.
Ian says I have the worst luck when traveling because every time I get the ferry to my parents' house, it's an overnight
Mm.
ferry, so you're supposed to sleep on the boat, right? So
I
every
suppose
time I
so.
go on this, I know, like every time I go on the boat to go to Shetland, I'm supposed to go to sleep, and so I'll take my sleep medication to put me to sleep and everything. But because I don't weigh very much, every time the boat goes over a wave and drops the other side, I get thrown out of my bed. So I
Oh,
like bounce for like 14 hours. I just get thrown in the air. And I keep
you need
saying to
a
my husband, I'm
seatbelt.
like, how am I supposed to sleep when my entire body's lifting off the bed
Yeah,
and landing back
yeah,
down? Like, how?
yeah.
How are
You
you
need a
supposed to
seatbelt.
sleep
You
through
need
that?
get your husband to strap you in with a belt or something.
I know they used to
Anyway,
do that in for Shetland boats. They used to have these like bungee cord things that you could hook over your
oh,
bed to stop you from getting thrown out. And I
yeah,
last
right.
time I was on the ferry to Shetland, they didn't have them. And I'm like,
Oh,
what
no,
the
that's not
hell?
good.
Like
I need them. You
that's
need
not good for
them.
me because like I weigh
Yeah.
nothing. So and of course my dad snored the entire way. My mom was snoring the entire way, and I was bouncing up
Oh,
and down like a bouncy ball the entire trip. I was like,
oh,
really?
that's terrible.
Ah. And it's 14 hours of that. So by the time I get there, my neck's all screwed up. My shoulders are all screwed up.
Oh no, that's
And I look like
exactly
I've
what
been
you
on the.
do.
Like, I honestly would probably do better if I got absolutely drunk on the boat. I think I would
Yeah,
probably just pass out and I wouldn't care. But because I don't
if you
drink
went up and
anymore,
down, no.
I I just get I just get absolutely bounced around. Is awful. So now I'm determined to fly to Shetland instead because it's
Okay,
only 2 hours.
good luck with that.
But the problem with flying to Shetland is if it misses the runway, you go in the ocean, and
Well,
if
you're
it
thinking
goes
of the
it
worst case scenario, so I mean, try to
well
think
I've been on
alternatives.
the plane when they went oops and we've hit the ocean, and I'm like oops, the fucking runway's
It's not
2 miles
visible.
that way. Or I get on the plane and the pilot says, we're flying to Stornoway, and the entire plane yells back, no, we're going to Shetland.
Oh God.
This is why people don't travel with me, because I have this curse. I have
You're a
honestly like a
jinx.
curse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
curse.
it's like
Yeah,
my husband says,
there's another book for you.
yeah,
Speaking of,
yeah, the girl
guess
with the
we're
cursed travel plans. Yeah. So I'm kind of,
Yeah, you could do
I
one
feel
a month.
bad
I
because
think
my
is
my
better enough.
friend, he's going to travel from Germany.
I
He's
do.
going to be on the same flight as us from Germany, and I so know
Okay.
that everything that could go wrong with me and him flying together is going to go wrong between me and him flying together.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh
there'll
well,
be a
get your
book,
notebook out.
that'll come out. Our woes of travel experiences.
Yeah, yeah. You sound like you've got like the quite a lot of uh sort of feed there for writing books. I mean, I think
Yeah,
especially children's horror stories.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there's this joke from my local
You'll be the
hospital.
next R.L. Stein.
I could be.
You
There's
could be.
this
I
joke
guess
with my doctor at the hospital because I've been in
okay.
nearly every hospital in Scotland. And he goes,
Oh
Crystal,
gee.
you could do the A to Z guide of hospital experiences in Scotland. You could write a book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
can't. Because if I wrote a
I
book about
know.
every hospital I've ever stayed in, I'd get sued.
Oh,
Because I would point out all the bad experiences I've
all the
had in
bad
all these different
experiences. Yeah.
hospitals. And some hospital will take offense and sue me. And he's like,
Probably.
but that would be the funny part about it. And I'm like, yes, as
For
you,
who?
you know.
For who? Well, it was really
So yeah,
lovely
my
talking
husband
to
just
you,
expects
Marinne.
disaster. So
No,
yeah,
come to ex, he's come to expect that now. I suppose we've
yes, he
been chatting
has.
for a
He
while
really
now.
has. It's so funny
Well,
because he's his curse is he can go into a shop with £200, which is the money that if he goes in to buy something
oh,
in
money.
cash,
Okay.
he
Really? Oh
um
gosh.
he can't buy whatever it is he's going in to get. He's like, we went into 4 furniture places to get a brand new bed for our new
Wow.
place, our apartment, and
Okay.
all 4 places we went to, he ended up walking back out the store with the money because they
Oh,
wouldn't take his money.
they
He's the only
wouldn't.
person I
Was it?
know that has money that wants to spend it but can't spend it because he can't spend it in whatever store he's got into.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So
People
that happened
usually
to him in
there's a different
IKEA.
currency or something.
Yeah. Well, no,
Anyway, Crystal, I hate to do this, but we have been talking for a while now, and I guess we're coming to the end of it.
yes, we
And I just
are.
want to
Yeah.
make sure. Yeah, I just want
I
to
was I
just
was about to
finally
do the
say
wrap up. You're jumping ahead of me a little
I'm
bit
doing
here.
it for you. Yeah, I'm doing
Yeah.
it for you. No, okay, I'll hand it over to you
No,
then.
no, no.
But I
So
just want to get a bit of a word in about the books that
yeah,
to
go
watch
for it.
for. We've got
Yeah,
Hidden coming out, and which is just out there now if you really want to have a look. Get started early, but then there
yeah.
will be Broken, and then there'll be Fearless, and then the new books. I promise, new books are coming, and they're long overdue, but they're coming. So thank
Oh, I
you
know with you it'll be
for
worth
this
the wait.
opportunity to get that said out there and to put that out there, Crystal.
Yeah. And definitely
It's
because
always
like
lovely talking to you.
everything that you put out is so easy to read and it just sucks you right
Thank
in.
you.
And
Thank you.
like because I was reading the magic one, the magic key
Oh,
one.
magic. Yeah.
I did, and I loved it. I have a little
Oh.
bit left to go because every time I went to
Oh.
read it, I ended up having to do my studies.
Yeah.
It was just
They
like
get in the
bad
way, don't
timing.
they?
But I love it. Like even Old Magic was one of my favorites. I adored that world and how you built it and
It's my
put it
first
together. And
book.
so having
Thank
you
you.
as my first guest and then having you back today has been such a huge honor, honestly. And sharing war stories that we've had tonight has
Oh,
been a lot of
wow.
fun.
What stories we talked about.
Yeah, but that's the fun of this place. It's about, two people getting together, having a normal conversation
Yeah.
over coffee and just, having fun. That's what I always say. And yeah, I know because I loved your email saying I'm grabbing a coffee and then I'm coming straight on and I'm like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Ian
Yeah.
Ian was a bit curious about the squeals coming from the living room, but yeah, but honestly, I can't wait to have you on again in a year's time, and hopefully
Okay.
you'll have watched
That'll be
my new
lovely.
movie, and we'll have lots of other
Cannot
books to
wait.
talk about. Yes, I
Yeah.
promise I will introduce you to my co-writer because he's such an amazing person. Honestly, I can't That'll be us, our
Oh, it
secret.
sounds
I'll do an
interesting.
intro. I'll be like, yeah, you gotta meet my good friend Marianne here. He's adorable. So yeah, I definitely have to do
Oh,
that. But no, honestly, I can't wait to
oh,
have you on next year. We'll have you back again
yeah.
when you're releasing your new ones, and yeah, we'll
Okay,
have some
sounds
fun.
good. It should be about time to get those
Okay,
new
so
ones out by
guys,
then.
yeah, I'll have a few out by then, hopefully. But guys,
Yeah.
come back next week as we have a literacy agent coming on in the name of Eric Miller, a good friend of mine and good friend to the show. And you're not going to want to miss our top downloaded episode, well, guest of all time. So, yes, come back and check him out.